sets, Roger Federer to serve. Ready, play.
All set for the start of our second semi-final. Roger Federer, world number 1, Andre Agassi, former champion. It was a deliberate decision of Agassi to make Federer serve first. This is his finest chance, he thinks, of getting an early break in the very first game before the champion is settled. Oh, imperious.
It's going to be a very important shot for both competitors tonight. Agassi likes to use it to change direction on the ball when hitting from the back of the court, but it's the shot I think that Federer has improved most over the last 18 months. It used to be a defensive shot, now it's very much offensive.
What a serve that was. Agassi thinks it was a fault. He's going to have a look at the mark. He doesn't complain. TMI thought that it clipped the line, and it did. What accuracy on the second serve. We should be watching the service percentage of Federer tonight, because he thinks that he's not serving as well as he can. Here's Mirka, his girlfriend and manager.
John, he'd like to be winning a few more cheap points on serve, I think. So we've got another look at the first serve percentage, but the effectiveness of it, particularly given the fact that he's playing Agassi, one of the best returners of the serve in the game.
Yes, better. First game.
Well, nobody has ever beaten Agassi 7 times in a row. And he's burning to prove that at 34 he's still good enough. But seeing the way he's been handled in the last few meetings, I don't think he is as good as he was.
I think it'd be very, very difficult for him to win another major championship. Of course, I'm talking about Grand Slams. And that's obviously what he plays the game for. So he looks to evenings like this to severely test himself against the best players in the world. And the last few occasions that he's done that, he's come up wanting.
Andre Agassi.
Well, one thing he can count on here, of course, is crowd support.
Well, Darren Cahill been working with Andre Agassi for a few years now, February 2002. Of course, former coach of Leighton Hewitt. took him to #1 in the world as well.
Agassi's been full of praise for Cahill. There's Mrs. Agassi, Steffi Graf. I think playing with the full encouragement of Steffi.
I think she's been tremendous motivation for him to continue playing.
One game on.
And a very good first service game from Agassi.
It's so important, I think, for him to get off to a good start tonight, because when Federer gets in front and he's playing well, it's virtually impossible to beat. And the last 2 times these 2 players have met, that's what's happened, and that's what's killed Agassi.
That's an ominous sign. He hasn't been doing that very often. 1-2-6 MPH, that first ace.
There's so many options at his disposal after he's made that first serve, Federer. And he waits, he sees out of the corner of his eye which direction the opponent's moving before he makes his shot selection.
Second serve has improved out of sight in the last year, and that's one of the problems for all his opponents. So there it is, no breaks, and 2-1 Federer.
Well, it's been a good start, and I think Federer will come into this match looking to raise the level of his game, because by his own admission, he's been saying that he hasn't been hitting the ball as cleanly as he would like. He doesn't particularly like playing in the evening. He said that the matches where he struggled against Zabaleta and Ancic, they were both played in the evening. He said the court plays a little slower than it does during the day. It doesn't really suit his game. He found it difficult to time the ball. It was a bit breezy when he played Ancic as well. So I don't think he would have been particularly looking forward to playing in the evening, but I do think he would have been looking forward to playing Agassi, because I think it's certainly a player that gets his juices flowing, and we've seen that the last couple of times that they've played. He's really been able to come to the court, play his best tennis, and someone will dismiss Agassi, which obviously isn't very easy for the American to take, but Federer is very aware of the fact that Agassi is one of the greatest players to ever play the game, and he wants to rack up as many wins against him as possible.
And I think it's always fascinating watching the overlapping of eras. And we're seeing one here. We're seeing a bright young new champion emerging towards the very top of the game, arguably playing as well as anybody ever has with a tennis racket, against one of the all-time greats, Agassi, whose peak is certainly past. He's perhaps just on the way down a little bit. And here we are witnessing it. It's a fascinating moment in tennis history. Very lucky to be here.
Thank you. Players ready. Sit down quickly, please.
The fascination, of course, is can the older man still cut the mustard with a hot young player at the top of the world game today?
15 love.
A bit like those moments in heavyweight boxing history when the old champion takes on the new challenger.
We talked about how important it's going to be for Federer to serve well this evening. I think the same goes for Agassi. He's got to keep his first serve percentage nice and high. He's got to keep varying the serve as well to keep Federer guessing. He can't afford to give the Swiss looks at his second serve on big points.
He trains hard still with the help of Gil Reyes, who is his personal friend as well as his trainer and bodyguard. He's a huge man, former strength coach at the University of Las Vegas in Nevada. Typical sloppy volley.
14-18.
Certainly expect him to make that. He was there or thereabouts with the feet. Very unusual to lose control of the ball once he hits it out of the middle of the racket.
I don't think he likes playing under lights for another reason. He doesn't see the ball quite as early. As well as the slower conditions. Tell you who was like that, you know, Bjorn Borg hated playing at night, and his coach, Leonard Berglund, used to plead with tournament organisers to put him on during the day. And they got him to play Tanner at the US Open the year he lost to him in a night match, and he couldn't see Tanner serve. And Federer didn't see much of that service game from Agassi. Well played, the older man. 2 all.
I think it's a valid point. It's not as easy to pick the ball up under artificial light as it is playing during the day, but I think it's something that Federer's got to get used to, because being the superstar of the sport, and the vast majority of tournament directors will want him playing in the evening.
And we all are now very much part of the entertainment industry as well as of sport. So entertainment demands peak time viewing, and that, of course, is night time.
13. No, he doesn't like to back off the baseline, so therefore he's going to half volley a lot of balls, and of course that takes immense talent and timing, and he's just mistimed a few this evening.
Well, that's what he meant about cheap points from a good first serve.
It's so much easier for Federer to take the point when he's got that first serve in. He can either be aggressive if Agassi drops the ball short, as he did on that occasion. He can serve and volley, or he can be patient from the back of the court and try and outmaneuver the American.
Correction was good.
Oh.
Silence.
An immediate overall, which is what the players appreciate. And TMI doesn't agree with Lars Graf, but the ball was right under his nose, and of course the ball landed between him and the line. And he would see it therefore as touching the line. Not a clear error though, so Lars Graf overruling when he shouldn't have done that. No breaks. 3-2 Federer.
Well, I think Agassi will be relatively pleased with the start he's made. He's hitting the ball cleanly out of the middle of the racket. That's always important for somebody that plays aggressively from the back of the court, because just like Federer, Agassi doesn't like to give up any territory on the baseline, and he'd rather half volley the ball than take a step back and play a defensive ground stroke. So, of course, timing is imperative. He takes relatively small swings on the forehand and the backhand, therefore he doesn't generate a huge amount of pace when you compare him to players like Fernando Gonzalez or Andy Roddick on the forehand, but he's very consistent and he keeps his targets well inside the lines, and that's why I think he's had so much success here in Miami when it can get very windy. It's because he plays relatively high percentage tennis from the back of the court. So I think he'll be pleased with the way that the ball's coming out of the middle of the racket. He's obviously now just got to find a way to hurt Federer, which obviously is easier said than done.
Change us. Do you remember him as a 16-year-old? A punk rocker with a ponytail poking up the back of the baseball cap.
Take a seat,
one stage a painted fingernail and those spandex shorts under his tennis shorts, and the red shoes and the black shoes and the black shorts. But now pristine in white, a father figure of the game almost. And no breaks, 2-3.
$50.
He's been erratic like that, Federer, this whole week. And I think that's what's been slightly disturbing him. And that's why he's lost a couple of sets.
Winning the war of patience there. Federer earlier in the rally had tried to get around and use the forehand aggressively, but he didn't quite have a good enough position to be able to get the most out of the forehand, whereas Agassi did on that occasion and made the most of it.
And what he said, he realized the chances will be few and he's got to be prepared to go for them when they come. He did it then.
That's the problem for Agassi. If he misses that first serve, Federer can really be aggressive off both the forehand and the backhand. Took that ball so early, made contact well out in front of the body. And that's why he was able to generate such a beautiful angle.
And ominously, only 43% of Agassi's first balls are going in. Not that service percentages are always that important, it's when you get them in that it matters. I remember Ivan Lendl making that point very forcibly when he won a Masters title, serving only about 48%. But he said, yes, it's when I get them in that it matters.
The effectiveness of those serves, isn't it? Agassi has won every point so far when the first serve has gone in.
chess.
Well, if Federer had hit those two shots off the forehand, we'd still be saying they were absolutely supreme. But to be able to do this off his supposedly weaker side is absolutely incredible.
Well, he'll think that was a half chance missed. He was under enormous pressure, but just the faintest chance of making his pass. Just too quick for him.
Against the good players, John, half chances really are all you get. Remember the match against Henman that Federer played in the previous round? Henman had one break point, had a look at Federer's second serve. Federer served an excellent serve down to the forehand. Henman never got another look in.
He does smother that forehand sometimes when he has to rush it. Agassi giving him a nice wide ball to play. What an amazing point. Two fabulous shots. One half volley on the backhand from Federer. One half volley from the baseline on the forehand from Agassi. And a lovely volley finish. Superlative tennis. 4-3 to Federer.
A superb point as far as Federer is concerned, and I think that's one of the great advantages he has over many of the other top 10 players. The fact that he's able to turn defense into attack so well, and then when the ball is dropped ever so slightly short, then he's able to come into the net and he volleys so well. And it's the movement in behind the ball that's so good. There he's dropping the ball slightly short with the slice, and then going back behind Agassi, which is always a good tactic. And as soon as the American drops the ball ever so slightly short, Federer with some excellent footwork into the net, making contact with the ball as close to the net as possible, which means his chances of missing the shot are very slim indeed.
Lovely all-court tennis that was, wasn't it? Perfect. Replenishing the fluids. Absolutely essential. We saw earlier today Nadal, before the match began, emptying from the packets that he brought with him into the water bottle the special electrolytes and other additives that all athletes require, being prepared now especially by one of the major drug companies to ensure that there's no repeat of the nandrolone scares that we had a lot of last year, principally through Zitsky's case. They're playing with new balls, the first change.
Lovely teaching.
Disappointed by that ball. He's going to have a look to see if it's left a mark. did miss quite a lot, according to TMI. It certainly looked wide to the naked eye.
Fishing on.
Cheers from the fans who think he was robbed, but he wasn't. Big game, this.
Easy.
So here we are with one of those pivotal moments in a set. No breaks, but 3-4 and 30 all. The man who wins this point will really feel very, very relieved. Just out. What a lob.
Well, it was an excellent approach shot by Federer. Put a little bit of slice on the ball in order to try and keep it nice and low. And I think he really taken by surprise by the quality of the lob from Agassi. Just putting enough topspin on the ball to get it to dip inside the baseline. And then Federer very nearly made that shot.
Even, and very relieved Agassi will be to have survived the onslaught. He would have stood no chance if that last one had come over, but it didn't. Good match.
I think it's what we all wanted and the tournament needed, really.
Well, it looks so easy, and yet you know how difficult that shot is.
And sometimes when you're watching on TV, you just think that was a basic forehand down the line, but it was a deep shot by Agassi. Federer almost half volleying the ball, putting a tremendous amount of spin on it and changing direction on the ball. Incredible stuff.
Well, you can see exactly what he's thinking. The last guy saying you can't overrule, but it was well wide. There's the person who might have called it but didn't. We was robbed.
Thank you.
In fact, I think he was that time. Not that it's going to make a huge difference to the result, but it's a little worrying when the errors creep into the officiating. No breaks, 5-4 for Federer.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. She really made a bad call there.
last graph. She really made a bad call, but she did.
Well, it was a clear mistake, and I think we all thought it was wide from our vantage point up at the back of the court. But of course, Larsgraf doesn't quite have as good a view as we do, and it's a difficult decision for him to make on the centre service line and indeed the single sidelines. But Agassi feeling that he should have got involved there, and it's frustrating because you know that you're not going to win many points when Federer gets his first serve in. You're always looking to get a chance to have a go at his second serve, and when you feel he's missed a serve by a good couple of inches, then you're fully expecting to, hopefully get another go at the slightly weaker delivery, and that didn't materialise. So what I guess he's got to do now is to get it out of his mind, concentrate on the present, because he's under a little bit of pressure here, serving to stay in this opening set.
Well, I think so far Agassi will be fairly pleased with his game as it is, but he hasn't been able to impose himself on Federer. Federer's counter-attacking has been quite wonderful, and he's not playing well really yet.
And that's the problem for Agassi. I think he can play well, he can get a lot of balls in court, he can hold serve, but he's still got to find a way to hurt Federer when the Swiss #1 is serving, and or just hope for the best in a tie-break.
Well, fingers crossed here, 4-5. Put that down as a bad miss.
And that's just what we were talking about. Agassi gets a first serve in, and suddenly, on the first shot of the rally from the back of the court, he's playing defensive tennis. And that doesn't happen when Federer gets his first serve in.
Pressure is mounting. Just as well he was awake.
Well, that was an excellent return of serve by Federer, and good surprise tactics. I'm sure Agassi wasn't expecting him to do that, but it was Agassi that surprised Federer in the end with that lovely little slice backhand pass. Don't get too many of those to the pound.
So a bit of improvisation when necessary. And this is what's hurting him. Under 50% first serves in. Well, you can sense a little bit of anxiety in Agassi in this game when you look at the errors he's made. And now he faces two set points. Oh, there goes the set. A real battle of wills going on in that long, long rally, and it was Federer who was the stronger mentally in the end. 34 minutes, the first set to Federer, 6-4.
Well, I think the last rally of the set there was a perfect example of why there is such a discrepancy between the quality of these two players. Federer Federer has the ability to hit the ball with a little bit more topspin, and a little more powerful when he needs to as well. And the serve was fundamentally different between the two competitors. Agassi only serving 46% of first serves in, which is just not good enough, certainly when you're playing against Federer. Federer getting almost 3/4 of his first serves in, and they were effective as well. Look at that, Agassi only winning 14% of points when Federer's down to his second serve, and that would certainly be an area of the game that Agassi would have been looking to try and exploit. Federer making very few unforced errors. Agassi too played a pretty tight set, but a few of them coming in that 10th game, which really cost him the opening set. So it was good, but just not good enough as far as Agassi is concerned.
Well, let's enjoy some of Federer's winners from the set now. Of the set, and you can see how satisfied he was about the outcome of that long 26-shot rally.
And again, we've seen Federer just play a little bit better from 4-3 in that opening set, and he wins the set 6-4. Agassi was unable to raise the level of his play sufficiently to stay with Federer, and I'm afraid that's been really the story the last few times that they've played. It's got to be a little disheartening for Agassi, because I can't see what he can do any better apart from getting that first serve percentage a little higher to really improve his performance this evening.
Second set, it's Federer to serve. Slice them down the line high over the net as the man's coming in. Well, you're asking for trouble. A little more fluidity to Federer's game. He glides about the court more easily. Something we don't often talk about, but his movement is key to his success.
But again, that's a shot there that Agassi will have been fully expecting to make the most of. It's a backhand return. Through the years, that's been a shot that he's been able to rely on, but so far not this evening.
Adapt to the ball, clipping the top of the net and changing its trajectory. Waiting for the call of fault that never came. A lot of spin on the ball. Must have just clipped the line. There it is. Look, confirmed by TMI that it did indeed just that.
Well, I think you made a good point early on, John, when you mentioned the fact that Federer's second serve was a shot that's improved out of sight, really, in the last 18 months or so, and I'm in total agreement with you. Players were able to get onto it before. He didn't quite have as much topspin on it, wasn't quite as accurate. He didn't quite have as much confidence in his own ability to be able to hit those targets on big points like the great Pete Sampras used to do. But we've seen him do it time and time again in the last year, and that's something that Agassi is really struggling to come to terms with.
Ah, well played. Lovely counter-attack in the middle of this rally from Agassi, who half volleys almost from the baseline, takes the ball very early because he won't retreat, and in the end getting the short ball that allows him to make the smash. What can you do? Pass to the baseline.
Federer has this uncanny ability to be able to get underneath the ball when it's low. Not many players would be able to hit with enough spin to get that up over the high part of the net and down in time so that it landed just inside the sideline and the baseline.
Too quick.
And it's the anticipation as well. If you look very carefully, as Agassi was coming in to play the drop volley, Federer was already moving up the court because he knew that that was the shot that Agassi was going to attempt to play. And sensibly, the Swiss going down the line with the first shot and then following the line of the ball.
2 break points. Reaction to the first backhand that landed on the baseline. They thought it was out, a lot of them, but it wasn't called. There's the lady on that line. And the next one was called.
Thank you.
A little bit of anxiety creeping into Agassi's game now. produced the opening and then fluffed his lines when he came to deliver the killer blow.
You wouldn't expect him to miss that particular shot, especially given the circumstance.
Thank you.
The crowd so much want to see Agassi fight back here. No, he's missed this time. What a rally. Well, Agassi is having to win the points twice over in a rally.
Well, that was some serious heavyweight hitting, and Federer did it unbelievably well to get that ball back in play. Agassi clubbed this backhand, and he would have been fully expecting it to be a winner against a lot of players, but Federer only just missing that backhand pass under extreme pressure.
Talking about that vulnerable second serve.
Agassi, they're trying to mix it up a little bit by going to the Federer forehand, but the world #1 read it. He was ready. Agassi has no answer really when Federer steps up the court and takes that second serve on.
Just as well. Pouncing on the mouse.
And it's the anticipation again. He plays the approach shot and then he reads the game beautifully. Knows Agassi's going to try and pass him across court. He's already moving in that direction. That was difficult to take pace off that volley to get it inside the court.
Saved 4 break points so far. But you feel that the pressure is mounting all the time.
Well, it's just a huge game, isn't it? You feel if Agassi drops serve here, the match is all but over. But if he manages to hold, get the crowd involved, get them on his side, and he's still in with a shot.
Now then, game point.
Advantage, Agassi.
And it's only the second one he's had in this long service game. He's had 4 deuces. And he saved 4 break points. Well served. Now the crowd will get behind him. Listen to this.
One game on.
You must love these situations. Andre's been out here so many times in such circumstances as this.
semifinal.
Varies the serve so well. Agassi's having to guessed a bit late that it was going to the forehand, couldn't control it. Now, where is this one going? No clue from the toss.
Agassi just doesn't possess the necessary feel in the forecourt to execute shots like this against somebody who moves as well and anticipates so swiftly as Federer.
Vintage Agassi.
There have been few and far between. And in fact, that's the first time that he's been able to generate a clean winner off the return of serve. And of course, that's one of his major strengths. So that will give him a big boost of confidence.
And in this set, Federer's first serve percentage has fallen to 44. It's only his second service game, it's true. But it is beginning to hurt him. Another second serve chance. And that says it all, doesn't it? You see, a half chance in the second serve of the other point to the road court, and it's all over. 2-1. Federer leads.
Well, even though Federer's not serving particularly well, he is dealing with the Agassi serve a lot better than the Americans dealing with the world number ones, because Agassi, I think, is serving accurately enough, but he's not varying it enough. I mean, in the juice court, he's serving very few serves to Federer's forehand. I just wonder whether he could include that serve in his repertoire a little bit more in order to open up the court. And in terms of his second serve, well, it's very, very predictable. Look at that, 100% in the juice court and 78% in the ad court. So Federer's getting a good read on the Agassi delivery. And when he's returning the first serve, well, he's just on or around the baseline, taking the ball on the rise much of the time, using the pace that Agassi uses on the serve. But it's the second serve that he's taking full advantage of. He's stepping well inside the baseline, 2 or 3 feet on occasion. And because Agassi's not varying that serve, Federer knows where it's coming. He's then able to dictate the point, and therein lies the problem for Agassi, because he's struggling on serve. And if you're doing that, you're never going to be really confident in your own ability to win the match.
Well, it seems to me that he has keyed himself up for this battle tonight. There's a sort of urgency about him.
Time.
Lovely variety in all his play. From the back of the court, the slice backhand interspersed with the topspin backhand. The forehand changes direction with ease from the same open stance, and you can't possibly read where it's going. It goes flat down the line, or rather with topspin, but I mean, he opens the racket face to go down the line, whips over it to go cross court, and Agassi struggling. No breaks there, it's just 1-2.
Lovely teaching.
It's very hurt. It's painful when you are on the ball and miss it.
Yeah, it was the right shot, wasn't it? But just unable to generate enough spin to get the ball over the net and down into the court. Of course, that's Federer's great strength.
Nice. Wonderful to watch. Unless, of course, you're Agassi.
Or an Agassi fan. It's painful if that's the case, because Federer is keeping supreme length with the ball and just able to generate so much spin, and therefore he's able to generate angle after angle, and Agassi simply cannot read where Federer is going to hit the ball next.
Federer furious with himself.
Combination as far as Agassi was concerned. Did enough initially with the backhand to force the short ball, and then of course he had plenty of option. He was in a good position. He'd anticipated where the ball was going to bounce, and therefore he was able to get set up with the feet, which of course is so important when you're trying to generate pace on the ball.
Love 30 to 30 all. Change of pace. Again, when you watch it from behind, it's not always apparent just what's happening. But that's why Federer was late on the ball, too fast for him. And a good serve when it mattered. Agassi warming to the task and intensity about his appearance now.
Well, I think that'll do in the power of good, both that service game and the first of this particular set, when, remember, he saved 4 break points along the way.
It's almost happening for Federer, but not quite. About that second serve. Oh, what a kick.
It's really taking off this particular court surface, and of course that's same can be said of Federer's ground strokes. Very, very difficult to play against.
30-11.
Such a lovely, easy, flowing action. True of all the great servers, in fact.
What soft hands Federer has. Agassi, I think, will have been pretty pleased with the quality of his backhand. He got it lower than the height of the net. He added a little bit of topspin. And he would have fully expected to have at least been able to stay in the rally for a couple more shots. Federer just opening the racket face to get enough slice on the ball to drop it over the net nice and short.
Oh,
Federer.
Lovely improvisation again. The ball impossibly close, but a little flick of the wrist. And thank you very much. No breaks, 3-2 Federer.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, John, that Federer will be a little frustrated because he's probably done enough to earn a further break of serve in this particular set. He's put Agassi under a lot of pressure in the Americans' first 2 service games. Had that 4 break points in the second game, the first service game that Agassi's had in this particular set. And
I think that he would have been looking to make the most of the momentum he built in the first set, because I'm sure he feels if he gets his set in the break-up, the match is his. Because he's played well enough against Agassi the last couple of times that they've played, that when he has got a lead, he's made the most of it. And I'm sure Agassi is fully aware of that fact as well. That's why the crowd sensed that in that opening service game of the Americans, it was so important that he held serve, and particularly in that last service game as well, from love 30, he responded really well, and that's what, of course, he's been able to do throughout the course of his career. So I think he will take confidence from that, but it doesn't get any easier because he's serving second in this particular set. And Federer has the ability to put him under extreme pressure.
Time.
Well, the crowd really enjoying this, and so is Andre, because he's been under awful pressure. He's come out of some nasty situations. The 4 break points in game 2, the love 30 on the last service game, so he's fighting back well. But he is under enormous pressure every time he serves. The last game with these balls. So in theory, this is the most difficult game for a server to win when the balls are 9 games old.
What
an immaculate 3 points.
Just like the Agassi of old. Very effective first serve, and then staying in the middle of the court and able to dictate with the first ground stroke of the rally, hitting into the open court, which is something he loves to do time and time again, if given the opportunity.
They're cheering into the echo, as well they should be. Smiles all around for this vintage game from Agassi. And he can volley all right when it's just a case of popping the ball into an open court.
I think we all could have made that last volley, but it was the forehand prior to that and enabled him to have a relatively simple shot which to win the point.
So here they are with their new restrings for the arrival of the new balls. Lazy there. Federer reaching for the ball instead of moving his feet, and it's cost him. Concentration here, 2 points running. And that's the first double fault he's delivered. And you can see he's yet to serve one.
Please.
Well, I think the tactical was a good one as far as Federer was concerned when he did eventually come into the net, because he saw that Agassi was going to have to play defensively because the ball was so low. But Agassi did an excellent job of keeping the ball low over the net, forcing Federer to half volley and eventually drawing the error.
He has to go for it. As he said before this match began, I won't get many chances, but I've got to be brave enough to go for them when they come along. 2 more break points, though. He hasn't broken Federer yet, remember?
30-14.
As so often in these circumstances, Federer finding his best serves. Cahill, who doesn't give much away, will be crossing his finger for Andre here. How often can he go on doing this? Quite remarkable. 4th and 5th aces just like that.
Advantage, Agassi. Please.
There was a moment early in that rally when Agassi had a chance to force, and he funked it.
Yes, he had 2 half-court balls, really, and you don't get many of those when you're playing against Federer in a game, let alone in the same rally. And Agassi really didn't have the courage of his own convictions there. He should have stepped up the court and taken it on.
Which he said he was going to do. The anxiety returns.
You don't hit the ball any sweeter than that. Agassi's shot selection was excellent as well. The first one going cross-court, which is high percentage, and then realizing he had to try and change direction on the ball and did so effortlessly.
Well, here is the whole match in the balance. If he can just break here, he might yet turn it his way.
Advantage, Federer.
But of course, the chances have been there, and he hasn't taken it. 130 miles an hour, number 6.
It's a shame Agassi didn't hit the ball that aggressively when he had that break point opportunity. There was no stopping him, moving up the court, taking the ball on the rise and doing enough with the shot to draw the error.
1 Longest game of the match, but one. It's going to equal the longest game of the match if it ends in the next 2 points. But long game when Agassi saved 4 break points.
Shame because Agassi did anticipate the fact that Federer was going to try and hurt him with the forehand cross court, and so therefore he was able to get his racket on the ball, but just didn't quite get the ball low enough over the net to trouble Federer. Federer not timing the volley cleanly, but doing enough with it to win the point.
Just missed that. Changed his mind at the last minute, was going to let it drop, decided to hit a drive volley, dangerous shot at the best of times, and just maybe missed the waistline. So, it's now the longest game of the match. He read it perfectly.
The key, trying to get a lead on the fact that the opponent is going to serve to a certain place, and when it is out wide, then you can use that angle to take advantage of it.
It's a 5th chance for Agassi. Well, we're seeing the best from both now. Federer being forced to play well and serving better in this game probably than at any time in the match. We've had 3 aces, that winning serve saving the 5th break point and the 6th deuce. Wonderful stuff. And it seems that it takes the greatest challenges to bring out the best in him this week. It's only when he's been in desperate straits that he's produced tennis like this all week. It's just too good. What a magnificent scrap and what a wonderful game. Mirka full of relief that Federer weathered the Agassi storm to lead 4-3 seconds.
Well, that was a big game, and both players have had their big games in this particular set. Agassi, of course, saving those 4 break points in the second game, his first service game of this second set. And then Federer, of course, there saving 5 break points, and Agassi having that 140 advantage. So there have been possibilities for both players. Both have managed to hold on to their service games. And so the match is still evenly poised midway through this second set. And the crowd really getting involved too, because they know that if they can just help to raise Agassi's level of play just 10%, and Federer doesn't make the most of the opportunities that he gets on Agassi's serves, then they can have a match on their hands. And of course, I think they want this encounter to last as long as possible, because very rarely can you get to see the best player in the world take on one of the greats in the game.
Well, absolutely boiling up this set to a glorious climax, and both men forcing the other in turn to step up the standard. Some of Federer's serving in that dire position, love 40 down, was quite wonderful. A couple of aces in a row, another one later in the game, as well as other winning serves and flashing drives. And Agassi too, reading some of those serves so well. But he's trailing once again. No breaks, 3-4.
Left. Second service. Love 15.
The length and the pace on this particular forehand, which forced Federer just to be able to get the ball back over the net very short. And Agassi had already anticipated the fact that it was going to drop inside the service line, so he was well up the court to take advantage of it.
Oh! 15-13.
That is the first time he has double faulted today. Oh, the court's too wide.
Federer's too good. The ability to be able to take the ball early and hit into the open space, thus exploiting Agassi's lack of movement. He's not slow by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not as quick as he once was.
I think that's the point. Half a step slower, and it makes all the difference.
Left.
Well, these virtual match points needed a first serve there. Look out. Unobtrusively good, this. The quality of the shot making, that read all the shots perfect.
13-14.
And Agassi did well, because 9 times out of 10 Federer would attempt to hit that particular backhand cross court, and on this occasion Agassi stood firm and was in the right position.
Another missed first serve break point. That could be fatal. Good second serve.
And it was a poor return. I think Agassi will be relieved that he wasn't put under more pressure there. Yes, it was a good quality second serve, but still Federer, I think, will be a bit disgruntled in the quality of his return. It was short, middle of the court, and really he had very little chance thereafter to stay in the rally very long at all.
There from Federer. This time, one of his favourite topspin backhands. Tried a slower one. Didn't faze Federer at all. He just upped the pace himself. The whole match is teetering here on the brink. Agassi, remember, has saved 6 break points in this set. He can't go on doing it forever.
Yes, furious that he's missed. There's the lady who called it. He's had trouble on that line, but it was well out, as Tiamat confirms. No suggestion of a poor call. And here again is a break point. Number 7 in the set, 3rd in this game.
Well, that was an absolutely marvellous example of Federer at his very best. Hitting the line at the far end, the one that the crowd now are booing about. But we saw it in replay, and it was actually on the line. Quite remarkable.
His mastery of the ball is superb. It's so much spin, slice or top spin. And it's proving too good for everybody in the world, but on today's evidence, certainly Agassi.
Serving for the bench.
Lovely
return.
One of Federer's few weak serves there, just dropping in the middle of the service box, allowing Agassi to get around, use that forehand and dictate for one of the very few times in the match.
Very brave thing to try a drop shot at a time like that, and perhaps that's why Federer was marginally late getting there. Holding his breath is Darren Cahill. Rather calm up, Mirka.
15-13.
That's why. She's used to seeing her boyfriend get out of trouble in the easiest way, just by serving aces or unreturnable serves. How often does he do that?
Too often for the comfort of opponents. That's number 7.
30 on.
Make that 8.
Well, the quality of his serving today under pressure, particularly on break point, has been superb. And that's the mark, I think, of a truly great champion, to be able to play the big points well and draw upon that first serve when you need it most.
And he still needs 2 more points. Roddy had to go for it. Snarling at himself for missing it, but frankly, I think it was almost inevitable that Federer would find his way to match point, having broken, and he has. That's it.
Yeah, that's the match. 2 sets to love. 6-4, 6-3.
Well, they can smile at one another there at the end of what was a superb battle between two great players. And the younger man prevailing once again, his 7th successive win over the 6-time champion here. 6-4, 6-3, an hour and 25 minutes, and Mirka can look back, I think, with satisfaction on her man producing the goods when it mattered. He was tested and he came through.
Disappointment, I think, for the departing Agassi. Yes, this is probably one of his favourite tournaments in the world. He's won it 6 times. There won't be a 7th, not this year anyway. And of course, every year it gets harder for him to come back and be successful when taking on the best players in the world. I think he'll be disappointed today in his inability to make the most of his chances, particularly in that 7th game of the 2nd set where he had 5 break points. But Federer fended them off superbly well throughout the match, finding his first serve when he needed it most. And I think, as we all thought he would, he's starting to play better tennis towards the latter stage of the tournament.
Giving us a little wave there as he signs off with yet another win over the man who really owned this court for so long, but no longer. We have, or we will have, a new champion, because neither Federer nor Nadal has won this title yet. One of them will on Sunday.
And it'll be Federer if he serves as well as he did today. 62% of first serves in, winning 73% of points when the first serve found its mark. And Agassi was unable to get at the Federer second serve, and that's very, very important. Federer winning 68% of points on the second serve. Many more winners than unforced errors, 45 to 18, so that's an excellent ratio. And perhaps he could have done better on the break points. He only converted 2 of 8. But in the end, he was a comfortable winner, really. Agassi had to struggle on serve throughout the encounter, made too many unforced errors, particularly towards the latter stage of that opening set, and thereafter his back was always firmly against the wall. And of course, it's all about playing the big points well. Agassi with 5 break points, converting not a single one of them. So Federer, I think, deserves his victory, and it was relatively comfortable in the end after just an hour and 25 minutes.
So it seems to me that an era here in Miami has ended. The Agassi era is over. The Federer era could well be beginning. That remains to be seen, but what a joy to watch this match has been. Let's enjoy some of the highlights.